All right, last grammar assignment for the week. We have diagramming adjectives. All right, so what to remember first? We've already done most of this, okay? So you've already done subjects, verbs, all of your complements. So now you are adding to that, and you are just putting adjectives underneath the words that they modify. A couple of things. Adjectives can only go underneath nouns and pronouns. They cannot be underneath anything else. And then you'll also notice there's a couple that are different. So you see this one with the and. So if you have two adjectives joined together by and in your sentence, you have to join them together in your diagram. And then you'll also notice there are some that are slanted like this. So we've already done participles, okay? So participles, it's been a little while. They are the words, they look like verbs, but they're used as adjectives. And your most common endings are ing and ed. So if you find a participle, it's diagrammed a little differently. You have a slanted straight line and you slant your participle across. So as we always do, I do half of them with you, and then the other half will be your homework. So I'll make sure to do an example that has your participle and your combo with and. Okay, so I'm going to move off of this page in your grammar book to my piece of paper, okay? Make sure on yours that you have your MLA heading on it, so I know it's yours, okay? And then I have the sentences written on here, so that way I can diagram underneath it, okay? So you can see my numbers. I'm going to do 1 through 4, and then I'm going to skip to number 6. That way I get an example of all the different types, okay? So I'm going to move up here to my first one. I would always start with your main parts of your diagram, those things that go on top. Your subject, your verb, and your complement, okay? So we're going to find our subject. Okay, we got porcelain. Next, we need to find our verb. Let's see, it had. And we ask ourselves, it had what? Crack, okay? So we have to decide, linking or action. Is it describing or does it have it? Well, it does have it. So that'll be considered action, and that means we have a direct object. So once you have your main points or parts, whatever you want to call them, subject, verb, complement, we're going to diagram those. So draw your line, and then we're going to start with what we always start with, our subject. So we've got porcelain, and then we need to divide our subject from our verb, and we write our verb. So we have action, direct object. Is that slanted or straight? Straight. And then we get to write our direct object. So once you have those main points taken care of, that means everything else that is left is going to go underneath. So whatever order they appear in your sentence, that is the order you diagram it. So we're going to start up here with that, and that is telling you which porcelain. So I'll diagram that under porcelain. Next we have ancient. Ancient's telling you what? What kind of porcelain? So underneath there, I have ancient. And then our last one, Ming, is telling you what type of porcelain. Ming. And I'm finished under there. So we have 2 more words left. A, those little article adjectives, they always go underneath the noun they're in front of. So it's in front of crack. So I put A. And then slight is telling you what kind of crack. So it'll go under there. First one. All right, number 2. The mad rushing waters overflowed the pioneer's tiny boat. Let's start with our subject. What overflowed the boat? Waters. Our verb, overflowed. That is not on any of our lists for linking, so action verb it is. And then we ask, it overflowed what? Boat. Direct object. So, we've got our main parts figured out. Let's diagram them. So, let's start with what we always start with, our subject. And then next, divide it, and our verb. And it overflowed what? Boat. And since it's action, straight line it is. Okay? See that? All right, so that means, pardon me, I'm going to move here. Okay? That means what we have left needs to go underneath. So let's go back to the front of our sentence. And the first word we have left is the. Article adjective always goes underneath the noun it's in front of. So we start with the. Make sure you capitalize what you need to. Mad is telling you what kind of waters. Underneath waters it goes. And then we have rushing. Anytime you see that ing, immediately you should think, participle. Okay, remember, ing, ed, most common endings with your participles. So, participles have to be underneath the noun they modify. You'll do a slanted and a straight line, and then it doesn't have to be perfect. Just slant your word across. Here's your participle. Okay, let's go to over here. We have 3 words left. The, article adjective, always underneath the noun that it's in front of. Okay, then we have pioneers. Pioneers is telling you whose boat it is. So write it just as you see it, including the apostrophe S. And then our last one, tiny, is telling you what kind of boat. Underneath there it goes. Got it? Okay. All right. Next one. The persecuted Christians were joyful and courageous. All right. Start with the subject. Your sentence is about Christians. And then your verb, were. Very good. All right, now we have to ask ourselves, the Christians were what? Joyful and courageous. So we've got to decide what kind of complement we have. Our type of verb will just tell us which one we have. So were, is it action or is it linking? Linking verb it is. So we know we have either a predicate nominative, or now, since we just learned these earlier this week, we can have predicate adjectives. Joyful and courageous. Are those nouns or adjectives? They are adjectives, predicate adjectives. What's nice though, you diagram them exactly as you diagram a predicate nominative. Nothing changes. So let's diagram that part. Always start with the same thing, our subject. Make sure you capitalize what you need to. Divide your subject from your verb and write your verb. So we have a linking verb here. So not a straight line. What kind of line do we need? Slanted. Okay. Now we have 2 predicate adjectives. So that means I need to separate my line into 2. Joyful is first, so I write joyful first. And then courageous. My conjunction, and. So we write it on our dotted line. All right, so we have 2 words left we haven't diagrammed. Let's move back up here. We have the and persecuted. Article adjective always goes underneath the noun it's in front of. And persecuted, who is persecuted? Christians, so it'll go under there. All right. Number 4. If we look there, let's find our subject. Cowardly Shammai hurled several awful curses. All right. Subject, who hurled. Our verb, what kind of verb is that? Action or linking? Action it is. And he hurled what? Curses. Since it's action, we have a direct object. So, let's diagram the top portion. Subject goes first always. Make sure you capitalize what you need to. Separate it from your verb. And we have a direct object, so straight line it is. Curses. All right, let's go back through and diagram what we have left. So cowardly. Who was cowardly? Make sure you capitalize. Then we're moving down here. Several and awful. Several is telling you how many curses. And awful is telling you what kind of curses. Very nice. Okay. So we've got, ooh, it's blurry. Sorry, y'all. We've got our first 4 done. So let me swap my page here. I didn't have room at the bottom. And we're going to go, I'm going to skip. You notice my number skipped to number 6. There's a reason, because there's a type we haven't done yet. Okay. So let's start here with our subject. New England maple trees produce magnificent orange and red leaves. So what produces those leaves? Trees. Your verb, what are the trees doing? They produce. Action or linking? Action. So we're looking for direct objects. They produce what? All the way down here, leaves. So you notice there's a whole lot of words we haven't used, which means you're going to have a whole lot of words underneath modifying your nouns and pronouns if you have them. So let's start with our basics. Start with your subject. Separate it from your verb. And since it's action, I have a straight line. And then I write my direct object. See it? Okay. So we got a lot of things to put underneath. Let's start up here. First thing, New England. So New England is telling you what kind of trees. So underneath there it goes. Again, make sure you capitalize. And then we have maple. Maple is telling you what kind of trees. Good. All right. Now you see why I'm doing this one with you. We have several adjectives, and then you see 2 in there joined by and. So let's start with our first one, magnificent. Magnificent is telling you what kind of leaves. So underneath there I'll go. And then we have the 2 joined by and, orange and red. So both of them modify leaves. Orange is first, so write it first. Red is next, write that next. And then you'll connect them. Since they're joined by and up here, you have to join them by and. And just write and on that little dotted line so you can connect them. So there's half of the assignment. Make sure you get these answers written down correctly. Remember, it's a video. Pause anytime. And then you have the remaining 5. So keep in mind, if you're going through and you're looking at, say, number 7 and you're unsure, shoot me a text, email, whatever, and I'll be glad to help you with them. Talk to you later.